Hey, Will.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay. It's a running kind of day. How did the
Oh,
teardown go?
what do you mean running?
Running, I just trying
Oh,
to.
yeah. My week has kind of been like that. The Terragon was good. It was really fast. Because we had already
Yes,
done,
you guys were back really fast.
yeah, we were like 45 minutes. We're like, wait, did we do something wrong? And it was
Yeah,
just
well,
the
I
card.
probably wanted more fan tests. I didn't get, it's got some, that house has some really weird responses.
Hmm.
And I wanted to try to figure out how to design fan tests around it, and I just didn't have time to dig into it. So
No, it's okay.
sad. Hey, Dom, congrats
Hello.
on the smooth sailing today.
Yes, it went pretty well. I was happy with how fast we were able to get in and out. So, um, yeah, went well. We had some donuts to look forward to afterwards. Thanks to Will. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. I'm gonna go get one myself, I think, if there are any left. I
They're just
survived.
sitting there. No, only Dom and I have eaten. So,
Cool. Hey, Lori. Oh, it looks like her sound is not on.
No, I'm here. Hi.
There. Hi. Hello, Erica.
Hello.
Misa. Lori, I'm sorry I did not respond to your email with great joy. I had about 5 minutes of joy. And now I have another fight on my hands. Because the university is complaining that I'm giving money to an organization that Paul works for.
We should chat soon though about the best stuff because one for your presentation for my class.
Ellison, are you meaning to talk to us?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll let you know what happens, Lori. I did receive your email and I thank you so much for getting that through. And as usual, it ain't over yet.
Yeah. Okay.
I swear to God, I'm ready to just hang out a shingle and go out on my own because this is ridiculous, you know. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
remove this part of the recording. I am recording. Sorry.
Can you delete that part?
Evidence that we hate the man. Oh. Hey, Marilee. Erica, I owe you an email. I realize I'm tardy, Erica. I'm so sorry. This was the perfect storm of a week.
I understand. Literally and figuratively.
Literally and figuratively, yes. Who got stormed on this week? Did anyone not get stormed on? Is anyone in like the the Galapagos Island? No, maybe that's stormy too. I don't know, but is anyone far, far away? Okay, I don't remember who's out today and or who I should wait for. Maybe I will wait for anyone. Um, so hello, Jordan. I know Paul is out. Well, okay, so I wanted to talk about, it's Christian. I can wait that long. Hey, Christian. So I wanted to talk again about Epic Homes, and I know we've had several meetings on this topic, and so I want this to be a little bit of a different take, and that is, I want the group to be aware of and concur with the purpose of this part of the project, And then I'm going to summarize what I think we have and what we intend to do to close down that part and try to, or fill out the objectives as best we can. So this is not the discussion about I'm unhappy with the range of homes we've got. This is what do we do to achieve the objectives? Feel free to, I have slides, but feel free to raise questions at any time, and I may not see your hand if I'm presenting. And so please just don't raise your hand, just unmute and start talking. Okay, I'm gonna share. Hold on, I'm gonna share my screen. So first, I want to acknowledge that the team just pulled the very last Epic home today. So we currently have no field homes. Congratulations, people. It sounds like they made it very smooth and it went very quickly. So like, yay, team. That's awesome. And so I'm going to start looking back on this phase. I've been throwing out the number, we want to do 10 homes. And so I think that's probably been in everybody's head. And I went back to the proposal to check what we proposed with regard to those Epic homes. Here's the language for the proposal. Like good proposal writers, we didn't promise anything. We just made it sound like we were going to do a lot of work. But we didn't commit to the specific work that we were going to do. So even I had 10 homes in my head. And it turns out we didn't say anything at all. We just said, hey, we got a bunch of homes. We're going to add some measurements. So we are not in danger of failing to meet what we proposed. That does not mean that we don't want to use this body of data for something. So so let me back up, and this is, I'm going to credit this form of, or this framing to Dr. Carter, because she was instrumental in bringing this forward. So what do we want from predictive ability on homes? And so my answer is increased power in assessing the effect of interventions. So typically when you are looking at an intervention, you make measurements before and after, typically some kind of indoor air quality. And then there's different conditions that the home is operating under. Those could be natural conditions or occupant conditions. And so you get some natural variability in each of those measurement periods. And so then if your goal is to identify the effect of the intervention, you've got some variability in the comparison that could limit or even prevent you from inferring whether you've made a difference. And so our ideal goal would be to develop an adjustment for these measurements that accounts for those differences in home operation, especially with regard to weather conditions. And that would reduce the natural variability and give you some more power in interpreting the measurements you have made. Ellison also made the point that it would be nice to know when the measurements you had made were not useful. And I suppose that falls under that bucket of developing an adjustment, being able to say perhaps look at weather conditions and say there's no way you can compare these two, or look at what the occupants have done and identify when the two periods are not comparable and you can't infer the effect of an intervention. And this is particularly important, I think, as we get into thinking about our field study, where we're going to have 2-week periods that we compare under different conditions. And so when you have a long time period, you can try to choose periods that are comparable. But when you have a really short time period, you got to wonder if those two periods capture the same conditions, or that if they were just confounded by other things that were happening. And so then what do we want from Epic homes, particularly the Sapphires portion of going into Epic homes? How does that help in giving confidence in predictability? So what we're hoping to do is demonstrate some kind of predictability, especially the influence of outdoor air on indoors across a range of homes that have different styles. So we can possibly do this quite well in my home. I don't know yet. We've been too busy measuring, but you know, when you've done just one home, then people say, well, okay, that could be a one-off. You could do a good job at that one home and then not have any flexibility or understanding of any other home. So the connection that we're hoping to draw is in the yellow boxes. The influences on indoor-outdoor exchange or weather conditions and mechanical ventilation. Those translate to changes in building envelope pressures or pressures across what we call the envelope. And then that leads to indoor-outdoor exchange. And what we've done is we've added that central piece, the building envelope pressures, to the Sapphire's EPIC measurements. And we have lots of data on that. And I'll summarize that in a minute. Ideally, what we would like to do is go from the beginning all the way to the end. Weather conditions and mechanical ventilation, which we might have some idea about, going all the way to indoor-outdoor exchange. That's what would give us the predictability in measuring or interpreting IAQ, indoor air quality. And one of the hopes that I had was, well, let's measure the same homes that Ellison measured for a year, many months, and then we'd have long time series. We wouldn't have the pressures, but if we get confidence in connecting weather conditions to pressures, then we could perhaps interpret those data. So we have a few weeks of data on each home, but Ellison has much, much more. So from the Sapphire's EPIC data, we're going to have a lot of connection between the weather conditions and the building envelope pressures, and that will be Dominic's thesis, I'm guessing, and that will be his work through the summer. What I would like to talk about here, though, is I think we're going to get pretty good at the building envelope pressures. I think we're going to have less data on the indoor-outdoor exchange and how it connects to building envelope pressures. So just to remind you, what we're measuring at these Sapphire's EPIC homes includes indoor air quality, especially particulate matter, but some other variables. And so what I have been hoping is that there will be outdoor events, and we will be able to see those or not see those indoors, and then test not only our prediction of pressures, but our predictions of exchange. So the question that I want to answer here is, how well are we doing at that, or how much data have we gathered to be able to do that? I feel like I've been kind of fire hosing, so I'm going to stop for a minute, catch my breath, and see if anyone has questions about what it is we're doing or needs clarification or has comments.
What are you defining as an outdoor event? Or what's your event?
Yeah, so let's say that so I'm going to contrast it first with a consistent amount of pollution outdoors. Let's say that concentration is always the same. Some of it is coming indoors, but you really don't know how much. But if you had a spike or a hump outdoors, and you could see how that influenced indoors, then that would allow you to test some prediction of indoor-outdoor exchange. So I'm really looking for spikes or elevated time periods, or yeah, like a I don't know if it between a spike and a hump.
Flat.
And maybe Christian has some comments on what he considers an event too, because I think he's searching for those in outdoor data as well.
Yes, we've used a couple different ones. One of the common ones that at least the EPA literature seems to talk about is like 2 times typical background, or crossing a line, a threshold between different AQI designations, which is more problematic, but log scale there,
Yeah.
but so mostly we've been doing that 2 times background, but unfortunately, some of the places that we've been mining data from, there's a 2x change just based on seasonality,
Yeah.
which makes that a little bit more complicated of a line to draw.
And I think, go ahead, Allison.
I was asking because I wondered what would happen if you, instead of defining events based on the pollution, defined it based on the interesting stuff you're adding, like wind, pressure. Like, what if the event were definition were based on not the pollution, but the pressure, weather conditions?
So, so let me
Right.
say first, the kinds of things I'm looking for, and this is a preliminary scan. I don't have a rigorous definition like Christian does. But I'm looking for a kind of an edge that
Mhm.
indicates that something is happening outdoors. I'm
Okay.
looking for it to go back down, so I'm confident that it's not a measurement error that just got stuck.
Yeah. Okay.
And I would love to have enough events to do a selection like you're describing, Ellison. Like,
Uh-huh.
let me just look at the places where there's no wind. But there are, and you'll see there aren't really enough to
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
Yeah, other thoughts? So I don't have graphs to show here. I just have a summary. And the reason, okay, so I did like a rapid ride through the data, just scanning for things, and so I don't have statistics here. The reason for summarizing and presenting this now is we want to make some decisions about what we should do to round out this portion of the study. So quick review of what we have. 7 homes have been completed as of today. We have a total of 52 weeks of data at approximately 1 minute resolution. So the average is 7.5 weeks per home. I think the shortest is a little over 4 weeks, and they tend to be 6 or 7 weeks, and some are a little bit longer. At one of those homes, there's no outdoor particulate matter. At one of those homes, I look at the particulate matter signal and I say, that's got to be wrong because it's got some huge spikes and very high levels. And so we'll investigate that further. But 5 of them, the remaining 5, vary in what I'm seeing when I compare the indoor with the outdoor. And so I'm going to do something really crude and show you my word summary of this now, because there's not a nice story yet. So it looks like this. There's our, whoops, one of the homes is not here. Okay, sorry. But so basically what I don't expect you to try to interpret anything from this. Sometimes I'm seeing that the home is dominated by its indoor spikes. It has regular spikes that appear in every room. We're usually measuring 2 to 3 locations inside the home and 1 outside, except for the one home that doesn't have outdoor particulate matter measurements. I have only looked at particulate matter so far. There are other tracers in here that could be used to try to interpret. I have not done that. And so it's a mixed bag. There are at least 2 homes where I really want to dig into the indoor-outdoor data. There's one home where you can clearly see elevated particulate matter outdoors at night and a delay of that particulate matter transferring to indoors. The bad news is I had hoped to see that in all the homes, and I really only see it in one. There's one home where we know they were running a whole house fan at night during the summer, and the indoor particulate matter, no surprise, tracks the outdoor pretty well. And then there's one home that's really interesting where it appears that the central air handler is doing some weird things to the pressures of the home, and not only affecting the pressure, but affecting the particulate matter inside the home. And then there are others where it looks like the indoor signal is so dominant that perhaps something is happening outdoors, but with a quick look, I could not extract it. So this will be subject of further analysis. I'm going to stop for a minute because the next thing I want to say is, okay, so what? What am I going to do about this? But just get, any questions?
I was wondering, is that indoor air handler that you said was affecting the pressure and the quality of the air? Is that for the better? Is it cleaning the inside air, or is it, what do you mean it was affecting it?
It appears to be bringing outdoor pollution inside.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Now, you can only see that when there's elevated outdoor pollution. And so when you have an event where the outdoor pollution is elevated and the air handler runs, you can see the indoor air increasing. And that could be either it's drawing from outdoors, because some systems have a makeup technology like you guys are going to build, bringing things in from outdoors. It could be that. It could also be the central air handlers can create imbalanced pressures in the home.
Yeah.
And that itself could just drive infiltration across the building envelope. So
Oh yeah.
I want to bring this home from the owners for a month and just play around in it, but that's probably not going to happen.
Thank you.
And we'll have more fun, interesting graphs later. This is not an interesting graph day, unfortunately. So I think what we have is a few homes, 2 to 4, where we could assess not just our understanding of home pressures, but our understanding of how those affect indoor air quality. So, and then the number of events is something I was looking for. When we seek the field study, we're going to be looking for places where we can count on regular events, possibly by having inversions that happen every night. But since these were homes of opportunity or had participated in Epic Homes, we were not seeking those locations. And so there's not always an elevated event, or they're not frequent. They're not every night. They occur only sometimes. So my question in doing this was, should we push really hard to find more Epic homes? More homes where we could leverage the Epic study. I had thought to do 10. I don't know why the number 10 was in my head. And it can come out of my head, but I do feel like we could put a little more energy into this, but I want to do so keeping the objectives of what we're seeking in mind, not just do homes to hit a certain target.
It seems like one of the deficits right now is the number of events observed. Is that fair?
It is fair.
So if that's the case, then I don't see a major like competitive advantage to including Epic Homes, because it looks to me like prioritizing nimbleness to enter the field when we think there's going to be variability in outdoor events might be the highest value.
Yeah, so
anyway,
I agree. So I have one more slide and then open for discussion. So I think that we did obtain some things to look at, but going into more Epic Homes or Sapphire's Epic Homes would take. So first of all, it wouldn't. We might or might not get a home that responded to outdoor air that would allow us to test. So that's a 30 to 50% chance. We might or might not get events. I feel fortunate that our study period covered a lot of weather conditions going from August through January. And so I don't think one of the things we need to do is try to find more weather conditions, with one exception. So then a question is, what helps us gain confidence and predictability, and including preparing for the field studies, Allison said. So one of the possibilities is there might be some things that we haven't explored, so our understanding is biased because we have not measured specific homes. We also know that we're struggling with stratification. We've got very little data on that, and we haven't really completely delved into the data that we do have. And so another possibility is to consider targeting that and maybe trying to get a longer period of time in a home. There is also the possibility of didn't write here, digging into those long time series epic data, but as Ellison and I have discussed, we didn't put the person power in the proposal to deal with that. So that's probably a whole nother proposal. Like, we have this great data set, we're going to explore it. So I think you didn't say this explicitly, Ellison, but my feeling is that getting us up to 10 homes is not going to fill in these or things we don't understand, because we'll have few events. We'll have, it's quite random what we're getting. So another thing that we are going to do to increase our confidence is the tracer gas measurements that MISA is working on. We will not do these in epic homes, but it is a way to fill in this last part, building envelope pressures to indoor-outdoor exchange, because we'll be able to observe it, but that will not be in epic homes. Okay, so what I'm going to propose is, certainly we can measure a couple more homes, but I don't think that it's to our advantage to chase additions to epic homes and going back to the ones that Ellison has been in. A major advantage is the existence of prior data, but as I mentioned, we don't have the power to analyze that as a body. And so what I would advocate for is targeting a few things that we think we haven't covered, and getting friend homes that are not necessarily connected to epic. And when I say friend homes, I mean, it seems like Will has a bunch of friends who have have houses, and then we could go over longer periods of time. We could try to target specific conditions as Dominic digs them out as he's doing his analysis. We could say, hey, we don't understand that, and try to deliberately fill them in instead of accidentally.
I like that friends opportunistic piece, whatever like the right term there is, both from the data standpoint as well as one of the pieces that has been weighing on my mind is that it would be really nice for us to be able to put the control algorithm, even if it's not doing anything yet, just running on its own in locations for weeks at a time, right? Just hardware failure, memory crashes, that sort of thing. So it'd be kind of a secondary win from my side of things, at least, to have that. I think if we are not doing any intervention there, I think Carson and I are within give us 2 weeks and we could get enough units out to put that in people's homes. Our side of things. It's easy to say with him not being here, but I think 2 weeks is realistic.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm proposing that the energy, both personnel energy and time and it's a bit of a crunch getting out to a house. I'm proposing that whatever it is that we have in excess, that be targeted to these more chosen opportunities rather than adding on new Epic homes. All right, so I don't have anything else to present. I just wanted y'all to see where we were, because we're kind of at an inflection point, and wanted to make sure everyone was on board, see if people had other thoughts. I realize this is not the bread and butter of some of you, but you're still part of the team, and I want you to understand a little bit about what we're doing.
I do have a question, but it's more related to Dom's work, as I understand it. Is that
Oh.
okay to bring up here?
Yeah.
I think my crudely resolved understanding, Dom, is that you'll be looking at the data you have, the 52 weeks, like 7.5 weeks per home, and developing relationships between outdoor data and indoor behavior, not the people, but the sensors. And then on the basis of that relationship, you'd like to go back in time in those same homes where we don't have the pressure measurements, but we would be able to get the outdoor like wind speed data at some probably less granular resolution, and then apply whatever relationship representation you have to that, and maybe add insight into indoor dominated or outdoor dominated conditions in the past. Is that accurate?
I don't think that's what Dom is going to do.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be able
Okay.
to make it that far, but
Well,
yeah.
no, that's fine. I'm more asking so that if that is where you're going, I feel like I need to be ready. But if that's not, I'm not saying you should do
So
that.
what you described, Ellison, is what I'm saying. I wish we had the person power for, but I don't believe we do.
Okay, but that was what you were describing.
I was
Sounds like
describing
an
that as a wish, not a have.
Yes, okay. That's okay. I can hold wishes in my head.
Well, no, I think we should hold wishes and proposals.
Yeah.
So Dom, do you want to describe what you think you'll be doing?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. From my understanding as of right now, I'm really trying to understand the weather measurements that we've had so far and how they are corresponding to, especially like the stack pressures. So I'm really just focusing on the pressures as of now. I'm hoping as we move forward, I'll be able to try and do some work with the mechanical ventilation, some of the wind stuff, but really it's mostly focusing on the interaction between the weather and the pressures. I think that's,
So maybe
yeah.
you might, I don't know if you want to share like what we've sort of hacked out as a investigation outline. I won't even call it a paper outline.
Yeah, let's see. You just mean like the paper outline, or kind of what we talked about in our last meeting?
Yeah, like so the steps that I put in your document.
Yeah. Let me open that up.
I think it's, so we're talking about the first on the left to the pressures, right? That hasn't even been confirmed in any study yet. People just calculate the pressures and assume that they're right. And so we have 50-ish weeks of Epic homes. We also have a year of data on my home. And these are 1 minute measurements. And so that's just a crap ton of data. It's just a lot of data.
I might need permission to share my screen, but I have it pulled
Oh,
up now.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Give it a try now.
Right. All right, so here's the outline that kind of Tammy had in mind. So these were, this kind of designation is somewhat arbitrary, but this is what we thought we would be able to fit in each paper. So this is kind of where we're at right now. Prediction of stack pressures, prediction of neutral level we haven't quite got to yet, but like we've been saying, we have a bunch of data. It's just about digging into it.
Yeah, so I think we have at least 2 papers just in the pressure data, and given what you know about master student productivity, you can see how challenging that's going to be, right? And so then Misa will be working on the tracer gases, but you can see that DOM stuff does not even include the interpretation of indoor-outdoor exchange.
Okay.
We're still on the way there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big in between, which I'm not sure how to accomplish. I mean, I have ideas how to accomplish it scientifically, but in terms of person power, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, this is helpful. I think it's helpful to see. Thanks for sharing. I also think that it just an initial reaction is that it's very useful that those second bullets, like site measured wind versus predicted from airport comparison of predicted wind with actual. I think that from my perspective, that's a real nice contribution. Because in a study like Epic Homes, we didn't have any, I don't think I even thought we would measure anything about wind, even though I would have liked to, like in an infinite resource environment, that would have been nice to have, but I knew we wouldn't, and that's a deficit. So it'd be nice to understand how well or not well predicted or distant measurements might.
Yeah, that was a hole we saw in some of the literature as well, even in
Yeah.
kind of the foundational stuff of
Yeah.
the, yeah, it was all using airport wind,
Mhm.
and I think it's an advantage now that we have the ability to measure on site. It's something that we can compare and hopefully add something to.
Yeah, I see it as a major value add.
I think it's just for perspective, a lot of the fundamental prediction work was done in the early 80s and then has not ever been revisited, only embedded in documents and used. And so I think at the time it was done, I'm not sure if there was no way to confirm some of these things. I know that pressure measurements have gotten much better. And when I worked on this topic, which was in the early 90s, I know we had pressure measurements, but returning to those reports, they were not as good or precise. So I don't know if that's one of the reasons. So it's one of those things that, you know, you pick a number and then you put it in a model and then it stays there for years and nobody checks. So we're checking. You can probably take this time, so we can look at each other. But I do think that there's a lot of data to mine if we're able to do the confirmation of pressures on these homes and then go back to those, to the previous data. And I don't know how to get that supported, but it would be something that would be quite interesting, I think. But it's not happening in Sapphires. And we didn't promise to do it. We just said the data existed. Hey, yeah, I don't have anything else. Cool. Okay. Well, if you have friends who have qualifying houses, do let us know, because we will be picky, because we'll be looking for certain things. But I think going into the summer is a good time to place some measurements that would help us look at stratification and other stuff, so. We're in a good position, and we have good procedures now. They got super streamlined by the time of the last home.
I think I missed it. What is a qualified home?
Well, so there are types of homes that, for example, we did a lot of split levels. And so we're feeling maybe a little short on the more standard homes that are not split level. There was a period of homes where every home was a split level apparently, and they all have a little bit of a basement. And so possibly a more, I won't say conventional, but homes that don't have those features could be interesting. I think all the basements we did were split level, so we also, I don't think we have any homes with crawl spaces. Is that right?
There was, kind of, Bailey's house had like a semi-finished crawl space for the furnace.
Yeah, no, you
It was
don't.
split. I guess it was under the main level, I guess, so I guess maybe not, and then.
So
uh,
is it the
Yeah.
outdoor crawl
Fence homes both
space?
have true basements.
Yeah, I don't think we have any crawl spaces. So I mean, like the whole
Yeah.
thing has, is a vented crawl space with like a dirt floor or
Only mine.
yours? I'm
Yeah,
going
it's a crawl space. Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things that make one qualified, Erica.
Okay, got it.
Are you qualified?
Maybe, I guess. I don't have a split level, so
Okay,
that.
okay, well. Okay, we'll be hunting you down. Yeah, cool. And we're not gonna make those decisions for a little while. I think Dom needs some time to get into the data. What I showed you was, again, the amount of analysis that you can do in a short period of time. Okay, thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good weekend. Bye.
Bye.